Was this really just a simple mistake born of a natural disaster? Or are we finally seeing the brutal unmasking of a marriage built on a foundation of sand? Think about it. When the people who call themselves the gatekeepers of Fairmont Crest finally lose control, the fallout is always way more devastating than the actual storm. Today, we have to talk about the absolute wreckage that is Bill and Haley's relationship. Is Bill's explosion at her a righteous defense of his marriage? Or is it just a classic case of a guilty man throwing stones while living in a glass house? Let's set the stage because things are messy. The dust from that Fairmont Crest tornado has barely settled, but the emotional debris is already piling up high enough to bury the entire Hamilton family. Bill and Haley are displaced right now. They're stuck in a hotel because a fallen tree is literally blocking the path back to their perfect life. But you know what? That displacement isn't just a plot device. It's symbolic. It's stripping away their social armor. Without that grand house to hide in, they're forced to look at each other in the harsh, unflattering light of a hotel room. Bill is already on edge. Why? Because he's carrying the massive weight of that elevator hookup with his ex, Danny. It's textbook guilt-driven aggression. He needs Haley to be the villain, so he can feel a little less like a traitor. And then we have the Kial Abbott of it all. The arrival of the Genoa City elite wasn't just a fancy fundraiser. It was a wrecking ball for Haley Hamilton. Kial didn't just bring his family's money to town. He brought a history with Haley that she desperately wanted to keep buried in the red clay of her past. Why did Kial decide to blow up her life now? Well, in my opinion, it's not just about protecting Bill. Kial sees this polished, respectable version of Haley, and it triggers something in him. He remembers the deception from years ago. He's acting like a moral compass that no one asked for, but let's be honest, everyone in this show needs one. Can you imagine what Haley is feeling inside? She's built this fortress of a life. She's probably used every bit of her will to rebrand herself. Seeing Kial is like seeing a ghost that can actually talk. Her fear isn't just about losing her husband. It's about the psychological death of the woman she worked so hard to become. She isn't just reeling from a fight. She's watching her whole identity collapse. We have to reframe this explosion. It's not just about a kiss. It's about who owns the truth. Bill feels like he owns Haley's past, and Kial just showed him he doesn't even have a lease on it. That triggers Bill's need for control every single time. But let's be real for a second. I find Bill's moral outrage absolutely laughable. The man literally just finished a session in a stalled elevator with his ex-wife. For him to stand there and brutally confront Haley is the height of hypocrisy. He's using Kial's secrets as a shield to hide his own wandering eye. It's a defensive move. His ego is bruised because he thinks he was tricked by a woman. He isn't mourning the loss of trust. He's mourning the loss of his own perceived superiority. He wants to be the one who knows everything, but Kial turned him into the guy who knew nothing. Now let's talk about that hotel room scene, because it was pure gold. Haley is a sharp operator. She noticed something Bill totally missed. His clothes were way too clean. Bill is out here claiming he was stuck in a stairwell, fighting for his life during a literal tornado. But Haley sees right through it. If you survived a disaster in a stairwell, you should look like you've been through a war zone, not like you just walked out of a dry cleaner. This one tiny detail is the thread that starts to unravel his entire lie. You could see the panic in Bill. Every time she mentioned those clean clothes, he felt those elevator doors closing on him all over again. He's trapped by the physical evidence of his own betrayal. His anger about her interest in Kial is just a frantic attempt to change the subject. He needs her to stop asking where his actual clothes are. The clean clothes represent the clean conscience he's trying to fake. Haley is a genius for catching this. While everyone else is focused on the life and death surgeries for Eva and Martin, she's doing forensic laundry analysis. She knows the Hamilton mask because she wears one every day. We have to address that closet kiss, though. Haley and Kial, trapped in the dark, sparks flying. Was it just survival instinct? Haley says it was a thank you kiss because he saved her life. But come on, we know Haley. She doesn't do anything just for thanks. Kial Abbott represents a level of legacy and wealth that makes the Hamiltons look like they're playing in a sandbox. That kiss was a stress test of her power. For Kial, That kiss was probably a mess of old attraction and current disgust. He knows she's a two-faced viper. Anita Dupree made sure to tell him that. But in the heat of a disaster, logic usually flies out the window. For Haley, it was pure adrenaline. It was a reminder that she still has that energy that can bring a man like Kial Abbott to his knees. The closet is such a perfect symbol for the skeletons she keeps. By kissing him in there, she's literally embracing her past while trying to survive her present. I think she's playing a really dangerous game. Kial isn't some local pushover. He's an Abbott. Trying to con him is like trying to pet a shark because it looks shiny. She's overestimating her charm and totally forgetting his memory. Her behavior is rooted in deep insecurity. She needs to know she can still hook a man who knows her secrets. It's validation. If she can get Kial Abbott, she thinks she can handle anything Bill throws at her. Well, except for the truth. This tension in the hotel is going to hit a breaking point soon. Bill isn't just going to explode. He's going to try to incinerate her reputation to save his own skin. He's already calling her a gold digger and accusing her of wanting to run off to Genoa City. This is just the start. When Kial finally sits Bill down and tells him the full story, the deception, the fake version of herself she sold him, Bill is going to be dangerous. A man who prides himself on status cannot handle being the fool. But Haley isn't going down without a fight. She's already digging into that stairwell story. If he pushes her, she's going to find out about the elevator. She's going to find out about Danny. This isn't just a divorce storyline. It's a war where both sides have the nuclear codes for each other's lives. I predict they might actually end up in a dark alliance. They might realize that if one falls, they both do. They could agree to keep each other's secrets just to stay on top in the crest. Or Haley might actually make a run for Genoa City. She's already looking at the Abbott's bank accounts. Could we see her trying to worm her way into Jabot? And let's not forget Danny. She's struggling with a massive guilty conscience. While Bill is busy attacking Haley, Danny might be the one to break. She's already confessing to Vanessa. If she tells Andre the truth, Bill's moral high ground vanishes instantly. What do you think? Does Bill have any right to be mad at Haley after what he did with Danny? Or is he just using her secrets to get away with his own cheating? And is Haley really a two-faced viper, or just a woman doing what she has to do to survive? This marriage is in critical condition, and there might not be a donor match to save it. If you want to stay on top of all this drama, make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a single minute of this fallout. Hit that like button if you think Haley is going to outsmart Bill, and tell me your theories in the comments. Is Kial a hero for talking, or just a pot stirrer? Thanks for watching, and stay tuned, because this storm is just getting started. Psychologically, Martin is dealing with what we might call displaced trauma. He's spent his entire life in the shadow of his brother, Cyrus Renaud. His decision to abandon Laura is likely a subconscious attempt to get away from the family chaos that always seems to end in blood and tears. He's deeply insecure. He believes that if he stays, he will eventually be the reason Laura falls. So, he rationalizes a selfish act, leaving his sister when she's lonely, as a selfless one. He tells himself he's doing it for the family's future, but he's really just protecting his own ego. It's a classic defense mechanism, but it leaves a big empty space behind. The tension doesn't just go away because Martin is in another state. It festers. With Martin gone, Jen Sidwell is no longer being watched by a man who knows how to spot a lie from a mile away. The stabbing drama with Marco Rios is only going to turn Sidwell into an even more menacing monster. Things are getting worse, and Laura is trapped in a blackmail mess that she can't talk her way out of. She lost her protector right when the shark started circling the boat. What do you think happens to a person when they lose their last bit of support during a crisis? My prediction for the future is that Martin's return won't be a happy one. It's going to be a rescue mission. By the time he realizes that the Reno case was a fake news report designed to keep him quiet, Laura will already be too deep in Sidwell's pocket. The emotional truth is that Martin might come back to a sister he doesn't even recognize anymore. His absence is going to harden her. It might even force her to make an alliance with Cyrus Renaud, something Martin would have never, ever allowed. This hiatus isn't just a break. It's a milestone that might change the show forever. Think about the way we consume this news. We rely on Google knowing. We see a headline, we see a tweet, and we think we have the whole story. But there's a deeper experiential knowing that comes from being a fan for years. We know the patterns, but is our confidence that he'll return just a form of motivated reasoning? We want to believe he's coming back because the alternative is too sad to process. We're in the bargaining stage of grief, looking at his history of exits and telling ourselves this is just another lap around the track. But this time the stakes are higher. This isn't a family visit, it's a displacement. The funny thing about truth is that it's usually a social consensus. In Port Charles, the truth is whatever Jen Sidwell says it is right now. He's the ultimate fake news generator. He created a lucrative case out of thin air just to manipulate the legal system. He packaged it in a way that looked legitimate, and Martin, a man who prides himself on facts, fell for it. It's a flagrant violation of the truth. Without Martin there to act as a check and balance, Laura is entering a post-truth political state as mayor. She has no factual accountability, and that is the most heartbreaking part. Martin thinks he's saving her, but he's actually leaving her to rot in a world of lies. When we talk about Martin's future being heartbreaking, we aren't just talking about a fictional character. We're tapping into something much bigger. Look at the real-life tragedies of comedic legends like Martin Short. He has spent 50 years making us laugh, but his private life has been a series of devastating losses. By the time he was 20, he had lost his brother, his mother, and his father. He lost his wife of 30 years to cancer in 2010. And now, in 2026, the news has broken that his 42-year-old daughter, Catherine, has passed away. It's a tragedy that just keeps getting sadder. Short has said that life stresses either empower you or defeat you. He chooses to keep going, but you can feel the big empty space in his story. The funny thing is how these stories mirror each other. Actor Martin Henderson from Virgin River talked about the big empty space left by his dog, Sammy. He said it still hurts to even come close to what he lost. Isn't that what we're feeling about Martin Gray? He wasn't the main character, but he filled a huge space in the social coordination of the show. Losing him feels like a biological process for the fandom, like losing a limb. We're all marching for facts about Michael E. Knight's contract, but we're also unbelieving the unbelievable. We don't want to accept that the unique brand of humor he brought is gone for now. Then you have George R.R. Martin. On June 21st, 2026, he's going to hit an unwanted record. The delay for The Winds of Winter will officially be longer than the time it took to publish the first 5 books combined. Fans are growing impatient. They're starting to think twice before they even start a new book series. This is exactly what Martin Gray fans fear, an indefinite wait that eventually kills the passion for the story. When the release schedule is no longer consistent, we lose our loyalty. We move from anger to depression, and finally, we just stop caring. Is that what's going to happen to the audience of General Hospital if this hiatus lasts too long? How do we even handle the spoilers and the scoops about who is leaving? We live in an era where citizen journalists and people on Reddit try to break news before it even happens. It creates a tweet first, verify later culture that leads to so many misperceptions. We search for the true in a sea of colored information. But the emotional truth is that we're often cognitive misers. We'd rather believe a fake headline that says, Martin returns next week, than do the hard work of accepting a long-term absence. We become angry partisans against the writers. We use disrespectful language in the comments because we're hurt. It's a nasty effect of the soap opera world. Think about the method acting involved here. Michael E. Knight doesn't just play a role, he brings a vivid and detailed portrayal to life. When he acts out that heartbreak with Lucy, he's using emotional memory. He's tapping into real sensations of loss. But playing a character who is constantly rejected and made the butt of the joke has to take a psychological toll. Maybe these hiatuses are necessary for the actor to avoid a loss of self. But for us, that authenticity makes the heartbreaking future even harder to stomach. We feel that void just as surely as if it were happening in our own lives. The sources show us that Jen Sidwell is a master of the authority heuristic. He has unlimited funds, and he controls the narrative. He is a free, active, demonic agent in the story. Martin was the only one with the analytical thinking skills to challenge Sidwell's propaganda. Now that he's in Reno, the truth in Port Charles is whatever Sidwell decides to call it. It's a vicious circle. The writers sent Martin away to protect him from the plot, but by doing so, they made the plot so dangerous that his return will require a literal miracle. This isn't just entertainment anymore. It's a commentary on how fragile justice is when the good guys stop showing up. I predict that June 21st, 2026 will be a major milestone for the fans. If Martin hasn't come back by then, the word count of fan anger is going to start dropping. People will move from denial to acceptance, but it won't be a happy acceptance. It will be a shift toward disengagement. The future impact will be a rise in citizen journalism within the fandom, where people start writing their own truths because the show isn't giving them the closure they need. We're in a post-broadcast democracy of storytelling. Our choice is either to agree with what the writers are doing or to just walk away entirely. But I think we should stay. I think we should keep seeking the truth and reporting it to each other. Because even if Martin is in Reno, his loyalty, which is the root meaning of the word true, stays with us. He's our sword and our shield. He represents that sincere effort to get things right, even when the world is working against you. As the philosopher Lessing said, it's the effort to find the truth that makes us human. The emotional truth about Martin's future is heavy, but we have to navigate these spaces together. So let's talk about it. Do you really think the Reno case is just a job, or is it a wholly invented news report by Sidwell? And if Michael E. Knight doesn't come back by the end of the year, are you going to consider General Hospital to be in its own post-truth era? We're searching for answers in a fragmented world, but your voice matters in this conversation. The fact that we're even discussing the death and departure of artificial characters shows how much they inspire us and help us understand the human condition. If you found this deep dive into the heartbreaking reality of Martin Gray's future interesting, make sure to let us know. These emotional truths are a lot to handle, but we can navigate them if we stay engaged. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next check on all the rumors flying out of the set. Hit that like button if you're hoping for a Martin Gray comeback, and leave a comment below with your wildest theory. Is he coming back with a secret that will finally take Sidwell down? Or is this the final goodbye we've all been dreading? Stay skeptical, keep asking questions, and I'll see you in the next one. Well, if we really want to get into the weeds, we have to look at the bandwagon heuristic. When a site like Celeb Dirty Laundry posts a headline saying someone is out, it triggers a physical reaction in us. Our heart rates go up. We feel that subjective sense of loss. And then we share it before we even verify it. That's how the fake news cycle works in the soap world. We're all trying to reduce the psychological impact of the loss by talking about it, interweaving what we know with what we hope for. Have you ever noticed the music in Martin's final scenes? Those oral cues are a masterpiece of narrative crescendo toward termination. The silence and the specific score they used on March 23rd signaled a kind of permanent death of his presence. It's like the death music in a video game that tells you resurrection isn't possible in this cycle. These micro cliffhangers keep us hooked every few minutes, but they also leave us in a fragmented state. We're getting bits of information that only point to other bits of information, and it all becomes very abstracted from real life.